Welcome to Champion Minded, the podcast for those who aim for excellence, not only in the sports arena, but in life. My name is Allistair, author, speaker, mindset and performance coach, and my goal is to help you unleash your unlimited potential and provide you with the tools to achieve greatness. Are you ready to become champion minded? Then let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to the Champion Minded podcast, or welcome back to it. I'm Allistair McCaw. In this episode, I'm actually going to be focusing on a particular player. He's actually one of my favorite players as a role model, especially for other athletes out there, other players out there, regardless what sport you're in. But it's someone that everybody that plays sport, especially in a team, can learn from. Now, you might not have heard of him. He plays for the English soccer team, Liverpool. You might not have heard of him because he isn't the main goal scorer. He isn't their superstar player. He isn't the one that you see on the back pages splashed all over the place. He's one of those guys that consistently gets the job done. He's one of those guys that puts an incredible work ethic in. In fact, today I've come up with 5 reasons why every team needs a James Milner. James Milner plays for Liverpool. He actually came from one of the rival teams, Manchester City, on a free transfer. I said free transfer, as in they wanted to offload him. Well, here's the thing. Funny story, Manchester City and Liverpool had become close in the title race last year, 2018-2019. Now again, it looks like it's going to be that way. And Manchester City got rid of probably, for what I see, one of the most important team players. You know, there's a big difference between wanting a great player or wanting a great team player. A great team player makes those around him or her better. And this is exactly what James Milner is. In fact, in my book, Becoming a Great Team Player, page 323, I actually spoke about James. He's by no means the star player, but he has often been given the captain's armband for the Reds, which is Liverpool. Milner has been described by coach Jurgen Klopp as Mr. Consistency. Week after week, he produces high-level performances and is consistent in his behaviors and actions. And his teammates know that they can count on him. Well, that's what we're going to be focusing on today, guys, especially as we get into the seasons of some team sports, why it's so important to be a great team player and why every team needs a James Milner. So here's 5 reasons why. Number 1, he's all about the team. He's willing to play any role. Here's the thing, especially the last 2 seasons. James Milner is a player that probably any team would start in their lineup today around the world. However, more than half the games he's been sitting on the bench. Why? Not because he's a poor player, but because of the tactics that coach Jurgen Klopp is playing, is that he comes in later on in the game when maybe the game is close or they need to improve their defense or whatever it may be, or some stability, which is definitely what James is. So he is willing to play any role. I've seen players, especially superstar players, they sit on the bench for half a season and then they want to transfer. They want out of that club ASAP. He is willing to play any role. Let me ask you this, if you're a team player. Are you willing to play any role your coach wants from you? If they put you on the bench that week, maybe because of poor behavior during the week at practice or something that you maybe violated one of the standards, or they just feel somebody else in the team could be a better matchup for their opponents, how do you take that? What is your attitude like? Are you willing to play any role like a James Milner is? Sometimes he's been brought onto the field to take a penalty, which is high pressure. If one or two of their main penalty takers aren't there, he will step up to that. He is willing to play any role in the team, be it a starting position, be it on the bench, be it water boy, you name it. Are you that kind of person in your team? Number 2, he has an incredible work ethic. I was watching some of the off-season training, which was happening up in Boston and New York, and James is 33, so he's obviously not the youngest guy in the team anymore, but they were doing some tests, some running tests, etc., and he was the last man standing. He was the hardest worker. He was willing to put himself on the line. You could see he was doing off-season work. He was part of the Champions League team, which went well into the season, and they didn't really get much break. But James, you could see, continued to work. It's a lifestyle for him. That's why he is successful still at the age of 33, where most guys or girls are thinking about hanging up their boots or hanging up their racket or whatever it may be. But he was working the hardest at practice. If you look at videos online or YouTube and you look at Liverpool practices, you will see that he is the leader in those practices. He is pushing the other guys. Again, you might not be the best player in your team, but you could be the best team player, pushing your teammates to be better. That is a great team player. That is one of the main reasons I believe Jurgen Klopp has him in the team. It takes zero talent. It takes zero talent to bring resilience, to bring grit, to bring the right attitude, to bring a work ethic, to bring all these things, to be prepared. Are you giving your best to be prepared to the best you can be? Okay? He is keeping his place in the best team in the world at the moment, the one the Champions League, because of his work ethic and his attitude. Jurgen Klopp would probably be the first person to admit there's maybe other better players in that position, but because of the influence he brings to the team, that is why he is in that squad. So work ethic and attitude. Number 3, he leads by example. He's not just words, he leads by example. In the practices, he leads by example. Off the field, he leads. In fact, his nickname is Boring James Milner. In fact, there's even a Twitter account called Boring James Milner. Because he is that guy that's disciplined. He is that guy that does the things right. He is that guy that maybe to others seems boring. In my book, 7 Keys to Being a Great Coach, I spoke about the best players being boring in a way. Is because they have this monomaniacal focus. They have this discipline in their daily life. They have routines, they have rituals, they have structure, they have the best habits out there. That is what makes them the best players. They've maximized their skills, they've maximized their talents. James Milner will never have the ability of Ronaldo, but I can tell you one thing, he works just as hard as Ronaldo. But he's maximized those skills. He leads by example. In fact, I think it was just this season where he clashed heads with another player, opened a pretty nasty wound on the head. He didn't want to go off the field. He got bandaged up. He came back on there looking like, like he had this white turban on his head. Back on the field, hitting balls, being out there for the team. That is true commitment, guys. That is true commitment. Do you have that? If you don't, fine. You can make that decision to become that player. Lead by example. Number 4, he shows resilience and grit. And I think just that last point was a great example of being injured, being hurt, and then still putting himself on the line for the team. Here's the thing. Especially if you play in a team sport where there's a long season, you're going to get knocks, you're going to get bruises, you're going to get strains, pains, you name it. The important thing is to distinguish between pain and just discomfort. Sometimes you might have to play through some pain for the good of the team. They might need you that week. Great team players are there for the team. They have grit and resilience. They're the first ones to put their hands up when adversity or when challenges strike, when difficulty comes along. One thing about your culture, it's not determined, and this is character as well, character and culture. It's one thing when things are going well, when your team's winning, but that is not how character and culture is determined. Character and culture is determined by how you handle adversity and when things are not going right. That's how your true culture and character is determined. What about you? How are you when things don't go well? Not just on the field or on the court, but in life. Do you step up? Do you face it? Are you willing to have the hard conversations? Those are very important questions to ask yourself. Do you show grit and resilience in practice? Do you show grit and resilience in the matches when it almost seems defeated? It seems like there's no chance, and you're just that one person says, we can do it. You have this belief. There's a big difference with champions. Even if they're given 1% chance, they believe that is 100% chance that they can succeed. Even if they're just given 1%. Call it optimism, if you like, but that's how the champions think. It is never over till it's over. And number 5, the final one, And I mentioned this at the beginning, consistency. Why Jurgen Klopp keeps him in the squad is because of his consistent behaviors, his consistent performance, his consistency to lift his teammates, his consistency in his moods. If he's on the bench this week, if he's coming on with 20 minutes to go, if he's not even coming onto the field to play, he's consistent in his moods, he's consistent in his appreciation for being part of that squad. Again, what about you? When you get dropped, do you let it show? Do you drop your energy? Do you pout your lips? Are you a negative influence around your teammates? Do you spread gossip? Or do you do what every great team player would do, and that's help the team in any way possible? Be there for them. That's a great team player. But he's consistent. He brings stability to the team. He's reliable. You always know what you're going to get from James Milner. You're going to get 100%. Even if he's not feeling great, he's still going to bring his 100%. Guys, this is why every team needs a James Milner. You can be a James Milner in your team, whatever sport you play. Again, he's willing to play any role. He has an incredible work ethic. He leads by example. He shows resilience and grit, and he's consistent. Hope you enjoyed that one, guys. This is Champion Minded. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember that you can follow me on Twitter at Allistair McCall, on Instagram, Be Champion Minded, and on Facebook, Allistair McCall page. Also, remember that this podcast is available on iTunes and on YouTube. And thanks so much to you guys who have left a review or a comment. So, remember, you were made for greatness. Now go do the work. Stay champion-minded, my friends.